All right, hello everybody. Today is April 20th, and this is our, probably fifth idea share now, maybe. My name is Beth from Key Ministry, and I see Catherine Boyle from Key Ministry is also here today. And we're just really happy everybody's jumping on. So this is an open forum, and so I'd like to open it up if anybody wants to get us started with either maybe what you're struggling with these days, something great that happened over the weekend with your Sunday online service, or how you're connecting with, the folks that you would normally see in person. So what's new, everybody? Anybody?
Well, I'll go ahead and jump in then. My church is going to do a drive-in service next weekend. So I'm super excited about that because at least we'll get to see everybody.
That's awesome. So Catherine's in Virginia, and I know it's a little different for every state right now. Has anybody else, just show of hands, has anybody else done a drive-in service yet, your church? No. So I know there's a few of us, there's a few of us from Ohio on this call. I already know, I can see a few of my friends here. I know we're going to be getting a lot more information this week as far as schools and all that. So, things are definitely still up in the air here. So one thing I want to share, so I'm also on the children's ministry staff at our church, so special needs ministry, part of children's ministry. And I can tell you now that we're, I don't even know how many weeks we're into it, everybody's a little tired. Are you finding that? Like the kind of the newness has worn off and the reality has kind of set in, but anybody else that's part of a staff finding that, or are you finding that personally? A couple nodding of heads. Yeah. Anybody?
Yeah, personally, yes. I would say. Yeah, I would say personally, yes. And having a special needs son at home, it gets. He's even getting a little stir crazy, but we're getting assignments and we're hanging in there. We're doing our 2 days a week Zoom exercise group with Jacob's Ladder Special Needs Fitness, and that's going okay. We're trying to add fun to it, like this week is superhero week, so you dress like a superhero. We had a night, red, white, and blue night last week. So, I think people are getting stir crazy and want to get out, and there seems to be some light at the end of the tunnel right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, in South Carolina, the beaches are open and retail's back open today, which is pretty crazy. And so we're just looking at what does it look like for us as a church for small groups. I mean, obviously, I think that it's going to be gradual just because of the size of our church. But I think the small group, I think we as a special needs community our ministry will meet more Zoom a little bit longer just because most of our individuals are immune compromised. But I think that we're going to start meeting in small groups, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. So I think that's a good thing for us down here. I don't know how smart it is, but it's a good thing.
It's hard to tell, isn't it? Yeah. Anybody else? Ryan, not to put you on the spot, but I know Ability Ministry shared the new Be the Church free downloadable curriculum. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've heard from people that have started using it?
We've gotten about a dozen downloads from churches all over that have downloaded it. I haven't heard of anyone that has implemented it yet. So yeah, I'm excited to touch base with them and see how that's going. I just posted that link in the Special Needs Leaders Forum on Facebook just before I jumped on here, and I'll post it in the chat here in just a second so you guys can download it. It's a free 4-week series with 4 video messages from me talking about what is the church, where is the church, why be the church, and how to be the church. So each one of those messages is like 6 to 7 minutes long. I think one of the things that I've learned pretty quickly is our attention span is only so long when we're in person. Our attention span is even shorter when we're at home and we have all the different distractions that we have. So we've really tried to drill down the message to be 6 to 7 minutes long. Then we provide you discussion questions to use after you show the message. And also some ministry kind of homework assignments that your group can do together while you're apart, and how you can track that. We've got a sign language memory verse, coloring page, some printables to put on your fridge. So it's kind of a whole package, and it's all free. So yeah, we would love to see churches and groups use it. My hope is that people that even in group home situations, we'll use it in group homes. I shared it with our residential team today. So I'm hoping to see them use it in their residential settings as well. So yeah, I'll post that. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer any of those questions.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Has anybody else had like a success that you want to share that's happened this last week or two? How about any like really particular struggle that maybe we can help with? How are people engaging their volunteers? So I know we've talked a lot about reaching the folks that we would normally see on a Sunday morning, or throughout the week, or several of our idea shares we've talked about reaching into some of the group homes and reaching people that we haven't really had the chance to to be with before. But what are some ways that we can really connect with our volunteers during this time? Has anybody done anything fun and interesting?
We host a weekly volunteer social hour, and we just try to talk about lighter things and change the topic each week. 1 week it's been travel, another was pets. We've also had our volunteers who play instruments actually join the Zoom meeting and entertain us. So just trying to conversate as a regular type thing without thinking about the heaviness of today's reality.
Interesting. Okay, so you're doing that once a week, and this is obviously something new since we've been in lockdown.
Yes, definitely something new, and we have a different staff member hosting each week, so it's a different personality, a little different energy, and it's just a lot of fun for the volunteers to get to see each other's faces.
Interesting. So is this for like all of children's ministry, or what type of volunteers are we talking about here?
This is for our volunteers who work mediating special education matters. I know this is a church-based group, but we work very closely with the special ed population.
Okay.
Any of our volunteers really are invited.
That's great. Thank you. What a wonderful idea. Has anybody else tried something like that, a Zoom with your volunteers?
So yeah, we've done a couple of big buddy Zooms, and they've gone pretty well. A lot of it centers around just how they're doing. We have a lot of youth, like high schoolers and things like that. So this week we talked about school, like how, because we started up distance learning, and then a lot of it also, they want to know how to connect, and we just think about ideas on how to connect with our little buddies, and they actually come up with some great things. They want to do a bunch of baking tutorials, like respite at home kind of baking tutorials. So a bunch of high schoolers are filming themselves in their houses, like making churros and all kinds slime and all kinds of things, and we're putting it on the website for people to access. So it's been kind of fun. It's productive, and I think it's a good time to connect.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, we've done a similar thing. Sorry, Catherine. We have, I got some of my high school buddies to make short videos for their kids that they normally work with on Sundays. And they've done things like they've recreated like train sets and train tracks in their basement, and then they've shown it to their buddies, and then their buddies have scooted off and they've tried to recreate it for themselves in their homes. They've done different sort of like outdoor sports, sort of football style activities that then their little kiddos have tried to do. So I found personally that the high schoolers got excited about trying to do something for somebody else and sort of take away from their stresses that they were enduring. And the parents of the kids said they loved just seeing their faces. They wanted to watch the videos a number of times and then wanted to do the activities. So it was a kind of a fun, everybody gets something out of it activity.
That's really fun. Thank you. So Allison, what is this done like one-on-one, or are these videos being hosted on a website? How are you sharing the videos?
They were doing them one-on-one initially, just because it was me reaching out. I'm the special needs ministry director for our church. It's not a particularly large church, about 1,000 people. We have about 30 families regularly come on Sunday mornings. So it's just a way of just starting our Sunday morning buddies connecting with their one-on-one friends. I've actually got a quick question to ask. I'm hoping to host with intrepidation a family respite stroke family fun night at, well, I'm gonna do a mock run this weekend with my staff and their families and some of my respite volunteer families, and then I'm hoping to do it for my families that would normally come to respite. We normally have about 100 kids from 1 to 28 siblings that come from about 45, 50 families once a month. And that's been my biggest sort of sorrow, that I can't provide any form of respite. So we're trying to host. I had an idea of doing something along Zoom and then doing some breakout rooms and having different volunteers hosting in the rooms, 4 or 5 minute activities that all families of all ages and disabilities could join in. I was curious to see if anybody else had done something like that and had any tips of things that are definite work, things that no, don't try that, or anything along those lines. Does that sound familiar to anyone?
One idea, first of all.
I think I'm going a bit crazy, but
so I definitely want to keep following up on this one. I know.
Watch how not to do it, and then you can learn from it.
Right. So Doc, I don't know if you've done any. Oh, go ahead. Did we see a hand raised? Let's see, who is that? Lisa.
Nathaniel's Hope has been doing their buddy break. They did 2 weeks of theirs on an online format, and it was a lot of fun to watch. You can look that up on their Facebook page, or you can, I think they have a YouTube channel that they're showing it on, and they're doing it on a format where kids can get back on it and do it, as much as they want to. So that was it was a neat idea.
Great, thank you.
I was on a Camp Pals, which is a national group that has week-long camps for individuals with Down syndrome. Jake was on a talent show. They had a talent show on Friday, and there was 160 people on the call on the Zoom, and they divided up into groups, just like I think you said, Allison. And then each kid got to do a talent, and he had 2 minutes. Each kid had 2 minutes, and that was a lot of fun. The kids really, really enjoyed it. My son flipped a bottle and landed on the cap that is, you guys who bottle flip know. So it was fun. It was a nice group. But Allison, how long would this session last?
I was anticipating by the time everybody gets on, there's a bit of a meet and greet, breaking up into about 6 activities lasting anywhere between sort of 3 and 5 minutes. Like, how tall can you make a pile of food items like tins or cans and cereal boxes? You've got 3 minutes. How many red objects can you find in your house? And then I was thinking things like, could you do a freeze frame with your family all wearing items or clothing things from a season? Like, can you all look like summer? Can you all do winter? So I would give the parents some props to maybe have handy. And then the end, I was thinking if I could do like a photo montage for them to watch as they're going of items. Either they could preload photos, send them to me ready, and then I can get some volunteers to take some photos of that night that we can show the next month, something like that. I love the talent competition idea. Contest. We've done that at Respite Night. I hadn't thought to do it on Zoom, so that could be great. The other thing I've done, as you can tell, I'm from England. My friends in England with kids the same age as my son have been watching a movie together, as in, you know, they're watching it in England, we're watching, and then they'll do a FaceTime chat. And I was wondering whether to end the Respite Night as we usually would have a movie, say, hey, if you get a chance to watch a movie, a certain type of movie or something, and then have a chat on Facebook that can carry on, something along those lines, but we'll see. So it's a potentially about 45-minute long, I was thinking, for the Zoom, again, with the level of interaction. It would keep them a little bit engaged long, but not too long. And then maybe I'm thinking in the future, I might want to do something where they come dressed up in a theme, so they could have sort of an activity to do beforehand and then questions to go on afterwards. So it's sort of can stretch depending on what the family want to engage in. But yeah, any more ideas? I love the talent contest.
One thing that they did at the beginning of the session was they just let everybody kind of ramble for a while. It was, which I thought was, at first I was like, well, wait a minute, what's this about? But everybody just kind of talked, and the kids, they seemed to like it. I mean, like they were saying hi to each other, and you know, it was just like a casual sort of say whatever you want, talk to whoever you want kind of thing, which I thought afterwards, I thought that was a pretty neat idea.
Yeah, I was just going to say my son is in kindergarten and he does Zoom class times, and they kind of have to have that to get their little time. It doesn't bother them. I think the parents in the background are freaking out a bit. So I think, yeah, I like the idea of being able to have that with everybody seeing each other, and volunteers and kids alike. So I'll hand it over to someone else.
Young Life Capernaum in northern New Jersey has been doing get-togethers like that. Johnny and Friends Pennsylvania, the ones that went to camp last year, there've been a couple weeks of Zoom meetings. They had an exercise session actually for one of the things this past week. And yeah, it's a lot of, looked like there were 30 people on it, I think, faces from all over the place. So that was appreciated. People do ramble and stuff like that, but that's okay. People enjoy that. That's great. Our church encouraged us, the buddies, to get together with the kids with disabilities this past week. Actually, one of our buddies actually came over our house. She's a good family friend anyway, and she and my wife and our son went for a walk. So it's possible to have that kind of one-on-one interaction. I mean, they were 6 feet apart when they were doing it, so they kept their distance, but it's a very personal event doing that. And so another group in Pennsylvania is also doing a daily kind of a get-together of people, a small group, and they do different things. They have a Bible story and different things in there too. So there's a lot of things popping up I've noticed last week, smaller initiatives of people getting together. It seems like they want it more now after 4 or 5 weeks of quarantine. People are looking for more of that kind of stuff.
If anybody wants to do an exercise group, just let me know. Our son is now leading the groups pretty much. We're working on that, but he's doing a pretty good job. He just got his certification as a group fitness instructor for special needs people. So if anybody's interested, let me know.
Great. Thank you, Tony.
Sure.
So Autumn asked in the chat if we could share the link. I think it was probably for Nathaniel's Hope. Is that right, Autumn? I'm guessing. Yeah. So I know they're at nathanielshope.org. Does anybody have the exact link for the virtual respite event? So we'll look, I know you can go to nathanielshope.org to look for that. And then Tony, what's the best way to contact you if somebody's interested in joining in group exercise? Tony, you're muted.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
You could email me, or you have my email. Maybe you could send it out to them and give them my cell number. They could text me, and we could set something up.
Yeah, can they find you like through Facebook? It's
Yep. Jacob's Ladder Special Needs Fitness.
Jacob's Ladder Special Needs Fitness.
And on internet, it's jacobsladderfitness.com.
Okay,
so
great.
Probably the best way I would say is Facebook.
Okay.
And text if you want to set something up or hear more about it, contact me on email or text.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right, Lisa.
Yes, nathanielshope.org. And if you scroll down, they have the virtual buddy break on here.
Perfect.
Scroll down on their page.
Perfect. So nathanielshope.org and then scroll down for virtual buddy break. Great, thank you. Oh, great. And Catherine did share the link for those of you who are on right now. It is on YouTube, so you could probably, I'm not going to read out this long link, but you could probably go to YouTube and search for Nathaniel's Hope Virtual Buddy Break. That's great. Thank you.
Can I just throw one thing out here? I mean, I don't think what I'm going to share is nearly as fun and interesting as what was just shared in the last few minutes, but the Autism Society of America does have on their COVID-19 page mental health and stay-at-home type respite resources. So we shared that on our social media one day last week. I think we're sharing something from them again today. So that's an option for families as well, and just encourage you, particularly with this being Autism Awareness Month, that they do have some ideas for families who are staying at home.
Great, thank you.
So something our senior director was challenging us to think about today, which I thought was really relevant, was that to stop thinking about this as being like a snowstorm, but thinking of it as the new ice age, like meaning that this is going to have to be our new normal, and how we would continue even after we're able to meet again, while we can innovate from this even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is so true. So Autumn, what's something, maybe are you at Vineyard in Cincinnati? Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
What's something that you have maybe implemented as a result of this time that you think you'll keep doing even once we're back together again?
I'm actually kind of struggling to know what to do. We've talked about continuing our online services, but I'm somewhat new to the field. I've studied family studies, but I don't exactly know what barriers are the families that have special needs have when it comes to videos, because it seems like the parents I've talked to have struggled to get their kids involved with online learning. So I guess I just don't know really what's working.
Yeah. Well, let's help Autumn out. What are some things that you all are doing that you think families are enjoying, are using? Yeah, Lisa?
I know with mine, I have more adults in my ministry than I have kids, and we use Lifeway's Access for our weekly Sunday school lessons, and I've been mailing them their curriculum, several weeks at a time. And then at Easter, I actually delivered little Easter packs I took to everybody's house, just hung on the door, and then gave them a call and a note was there. And the parents have really liked that, because that gave them that familiarity. It gave them something that they're so used to having that and having those lessons and that's what it looks like. And the parents have just really told me, thank you for doing that, because that's what they're used to, and that has helped them. And then also, it takes a lot of time, but I have just been calling my students, FaceTime, and the ones who I can FaceTime with, and calling them. And to me, that's giving parents some respite time in itself, because it's just the parent and the child all the time, and just me taking the time to call them and talk to them. It gives that parent, 5 or 10 minutes to go to the bathroom by themselves, or just to do something. And it's really enriched my relationships with some of my students and even my parents. I have a special needs moms Bible study group. We've still been meeting on Zoom, but also just taking the time to talk to them one-on-one, because I know they're really struggling, not getting out of the house at all. And I know several of them are falling back down into that depression that we work on constantly in our group. So just calling them or Zooming with them just to give them a different face to see, just to give them something different to talk about, that's been a great thing there. And I'm seeing, even when we go back to whatever is going to be normal again, the importance of, if a child misses or if a child is sick, make sure we get those Sunday school lessons in their hands, those kind of things. Make sure we call, let them see us, because we're familiar to them. And that means so much to the parent and to the student.
So we do already have online content. And so is it good to just kind of direct them there and they choose maybe which level works for their child? Is there a way to assist them and guiding them on that? Or they probably already know. I just don't know if there's a way to stop, I guess it's just checking in with the parents to see what's preventing them from getting involved online. But have you guys heard feedback from families about what their barriers are in this time, other than the just having activities that engage them?
I think that our population, my son's very good online. He's especially good at finding stuff he shouldn't be watching. they're actually, I call him sometimes if I have a technical problem. So I think they're receptive to it. And just a little I've seen from some of the things that I've talked about, the kids are pretty adept at it, I think. I think they're more adept than I am anyway. I consider myself a special needs person when it comes to computer stuff and stuff like Zoom, and but I think they welcome it, and they're pretty good at it.
I think it's so dependent on each family and each individual and what the interests are, and what the parents are excited to do, willing to do, don't want to do. Because I know for a lot of cases, the parent is going to need to be involved. The parent or caregiver will need to be involved at some point, at least for my students. I'm trying to offer content and like that relationship in as many different formats as possible, because different things work for different people. So in my case, we are doing a live Zoom, just a short 15-minute kind of touch base thing 2 times a week. And then we send out things that they can do throughout the week. But we do some of those when we're together on Zoom, so that the parents are seeing, how they can then do some of these things at home too. So I don't know if that's helpful, but I guess what I'm saying is give people lots of options for how they can connect with you. For, I don't know if you can see this, but for our children's ministry, this thing gets sent out by email each week, but it's links to all these different, videos, and a lot of the videos are the staff, doing a story, doing a song or whatever. So it gives people the option to learn and connect in different ways.
That's awesome. Lisa.
I would agree.
I was just wanted to hear more about the parent Bible study, because we've been talking about that. Is it just for moms or parents, or both moms and dads?
Right now, I do every week. I have during the school year, I do with the moms. Excuse me. I do with the moms, and we've gone through several different books. We've done Rising Above Ministry. She has some Bible studies. You can contact her. She's got some great ones. But now we're going through. We've done several of Sandra Peoples' books, and now we're actually doing Get Your Joy Back. It's a wonderful book.
Wow.
We're doing that. So, so we are, we're doing that. And we're also, we've started a dad's group. They call it Garage Squad. They're meeting about once a quarter just to get together and to hang out. We've had a harder time getting that started than our mom's group, just because the dads, their schedules are different. And, but they're enjoying that. They're seeing, you know, a lot of dads are like, we don't need this, but we're still working through that.
Yeah.
So
I also think it's just awesome that you call individual students. I think that's just wonderful.
yeah, they're loving that. And some of them have actually started calling me now, and I've given them the permission. I'm like, if you need to talk, call me. We'll talk. So
Great.
So
Good.
Bronwyn has shared in the chat that they have about 4 to 6 different things that they put out weekly. So like a lesson, video, connection, etc. So families can choose their level of engagement. So that's great. And I've seen some
Johnny
of
and
the
Friends.
stuff that they've done.
Oh, sorry.
Go
Johnny
ahead.
and Friends Pennsylvania is starting a men's group for dads in particular. They've had a couple retreats once a year, and out of that, they're starting these groups in the next couple weeks.
Great.
I was gonna say about the personal connection piece. Yeah, like a lot of our students and like even the students that live in my house, the engaging with the computer in the learning process is really difficult, but engaging in the connection process is different. Like we found that either whether it's over FaceTime or whether it's just a phone call or like over the computer, if it's just about connection, it's not really about like, oh, and I have to learn something, and like you're not like putting out content, you're just connecting. And we've found a pretty high level of engagement with the younger buddies and their families, and now as we've gone on 5-6 weeks here doing this, we'll get texts from different families. It's like, oh, look here, my kid got in the pool today, and so like I feel like there's a lot more just kind of the connection of just the everyday. We're learning more about our students, kind of how they live their everyday, because that's all we're doing. So it is interesting to take, what was like a very, like the Sunday morning, like whatever Tuesday night relationship, and now you're kind of spreading it over the whole week because everyone's just kind of doing their day to day. So we have found out that calling, connecting, and that's really what people want. And like I said, we have, different families will access like 4 or 5 things during the week, and some families access just like one thing, and some families go, oh, I totally forgot about church this week because like we were swallowed up by everything else. So I think we do as much as we can to make it as accessible as possible, and kind of changes each week depending on what's happening in the world here. So.
And I think you brought up a good point, Bronwyn, that this is going to change for families each week too. The newness has worn off, and they may be looking to engage in different things than they were a few weeks ago when it was just, like the eternal snow day or whatever. Now we're in the ice age, to borrow the analogy. So, and this is a good reminder for me too, to continue to reach out, even to the families that we haven't, that haven't engaged yet, because there are a few of those, to maybe extend that in a new way and see if, they're ready to join in. And you said pool, didn't you? Did you talk? Yeah, you can tell she's in California. Those of us in Ohio are like, yeah.
It's
yeah, it snowed last week, so.
Yeah, it's gonna be 84 here, I think, on Wednesday. So, but we still have limited options. We're still not doing, really much. But,
All right, any other ideas, questions?
One idea our campus did, we're a 7-campus church. Our special needs director has a birthday today, actually. And so one of our colleagues asked all of us she ministers to send a video clip of our child wishing her happy birthday. So I haven't seen the final copy yet, but we participated, and I'm sure it'll bless her. And if she lets others see it, it'll probably be a lot of fun to see that as well.
That's fun. We actually, on the children's ministry Zoom staff meeting this morning, we did we sang happy birthday and then recorded it and sent it to a staff member. It was so bad that it was hysterical. So, wait, I had something to say, and then we have a good question in the chat. What did I have to say? Tomorrow there are twins that are in my adult group that are turning 26 tomorrow, and their mom arranged for like a car parade for to wish them happy birthday. So that's going to be fun, and that's something that is safe to do. So that's an idea. So we have a question in the chat. What are people doing for their children's ministry VBS this year? Doc, do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, and actually we're going to have a whole talk just on that this Friday. We're going to do a talk with Doc. I've got 6 disability leaders from all over the country, including 3 who are on this chat right now. We are going to be talking through what to do this summer. I'm really afraid that we're going to have a lot of VBSs that will be canceled, as well as camps. We'll try to think out of the box. Even if we are allowed to have, be back in church and be back with everything, COVID-19 is still going to be around. It's still going to be here. And our individuals are still at risk. And, I know, none of us would want to be that church that went ahead and performed something and had an event only to have our individuals, get sick or, God forbid, die from COVID-19. I know here in Kansas City, there was a church here locally that after they put the stay-at-home orders together, they went ahead with a conference they already had scheduled. And out of that already have been, I believe, at least 10 deaths that occurred. And that church is just being dragged through the mud. And those were healthy adults. And so not to mention individuals with special needs. So we're going to be talking through all kinds of options and what to do, try to brainstorm with things. I know, I'll speak for Ryan and Ability Ministry. They've got a VBS curriculum that they have. And it's very easy to be able to turn that into an online, Zoom type of thing. That's one thing that's going to be a pretty easy, low-hanging fruit for a lot of churches to be able to do. But we're going to talk through just what might be some other opportunities. The way you can sign up for that webinar this Friday, it'll be at noon Central Time. That's 1 Eastern. You can go to soarspecialneeds.com and sign up. It's right on our main page there. You can click on that and sign up. But soarspecialneeds.com, SOAR specialneeds.com. And we'll spend a whole hour talking about that from individuals from all corners of the country and seeing what they're planning on doing.
Thank you. And then, Doc, the question was asked, are you doing the webinar for Finding Joy in Your Parenting this Friday? I believe that was last Friday.
That was last Friday, and it is up on we recorded that. It is up on our Facebook page, SOAR Special Needs, as well as on our YouTube page, SOAR Special Needs. Had that with Dr. Regina. It was fantastic, and did some great things, great suggestions there. One of the things I really loved with that was she talked about how we can change the poop that's in our lives right now with all the challenges that we have into fertilizer, and how fertilizer will help things grow. And so it's one of the key words that I love. We need to change our perspective. And so did a good bit on that. And so it's great. I think it's fantastic for not just those with individuals with special needs, but really for anyone with a child can learn a lot from that. So she did a great job with that. But you can go to SOAR Special Needs on YouTube or SOAR Special Needs Ministry on Facebook and find that.
Great, thank you. While we're talking about some of these great resources, so Key Ministry has been doing weekly webinars on Wednesdays. Catherine, do you want to tell us what's going on from Key this week on this Wednesday?
Yes, thanks. we're going to be talking on Wednesday about trauma with Janine McConaughey, PhD. She's been an educator at a variety of different levels her whole life. She's actually retired now, but she's also an expert on trauma, both from an educator's perspective, but also as a childhood sex abuse survivor. And, you know, this has the potential to be a really depressing conversation, right? But Janine is a very funny lady. And I think somebody was talking earlier about how valuable it is just finding the humor in things right now with, you know, just the hard that goes into everything with staying at home. So I think it would be a really helpful conversation. If you can't join us live, we do record them. We offer a link to the webinar, but we also are streaming it live on our Facebook page, the Key Ministry Facebook page. So there's a variety of ways to be able to see it. But, you know, I think for any family that has experienced trauma or kids that are being traumatized by what is going on right now, this might be a really valuable conversation to get to be a part of, or, you know, get to see after the fact. So I encourage you to, as always, check our coronavirus page or our events page to see all of our coronavirus related links.
Yeah, so the keyministry.org, the events page will get you the registration link, and then we'll post the recording on the coronavirus page. Thank you, Catherine. Julie's asking, how is anyone thinking through when to reintroduce our friends with special needs as we think about reentry? So I know this depends a lot on the state, like what you're kind of where you are right now with all of this. Again, I'm in Ohio. Yes, I watch our daily 2 o'clock press briefings. And one thing that our governor and our medical director are really talking about is even when, you know, things are starting to reopen, that doesn't mean that everybody's going to be comfortable rejoining. So we do need to kind of keep that in mind too. And I mean, we you know, no matter what state you live in, you know, it's not going to be flip a switch and we all go back to normal. There are going to be some changes in behavior. And I think, as somebody mentioned earlier, a lot of our population will not be joining back in large groups right away, maybe not for a long time.
And I guess I'm trying to anticipate ahead their feelings of exclusion when everyone else can come back and they can't come back. We've had individuals in our ministry who have been here for decades and just say, no, nope, sorry. And not necessarily, there's the side of mom and dad being kind of the heavy of, no, you can't come, versus the church saying, no, you cannot come. And how do we, I mean, it's a little bit ahead of the game. We're still under, call it house arrest, but anyway, anyway, just trying to anticipate it ahead.
Yeah. Where are you, Julie?
We're in Wheaton, Illinois, Chicago suburbs.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really tough, and it's a great question, Julie. I know I've been teaching on Sunday mornings in Facebook Live for our adult class at First Christian in Canton, and there's a handful of our folks that come Sunday morning that also work at the church, adults with disabilities that work there, and they have a single-minded focus. I teach for 20 to 30 minutes via Facebook Live, and some of the same individuals will ask me as I'm teaching in the chat section 10 to 12 times, when am I coming back to work? When am I coming back to work? When am I coming back to work? I can't answer that question for them, obviously, but they're hungry. They're desperate for, you know, face-to-face relationship. This is fine, you know, to get us through for a while, but man, they want to work. They want to see their friends. They want to hug and high five and do all the things that they're used to doing. And you're right. You know, when we flip the switch, it's one thing to say you can come back at this date, but I know a lot of my friends they're going to run through the door. They're not going to walk, and they're going to grab and hug people that they have missed. And it's going to be hard to legislate, safe distances and hand washing and hygiene and all the stuff that we had trouble legislating before we knew about this virus. Hygiene was a problem before. And this pandemic's not going to fix that problem for a lot of us. So a great question, Julie. I don't know that any of us have the answer for it, because we can do our best in saying, here are some guidelines that we should all follow. But it's going to be really hard when they see you for the first time in months. It's going to be hard to, unless we're all, if you're a Seinfeld fan, unless you're all like a bubble boy and you like literally have bubbles around you, that may be the only way to keep that safe distance. Yeah, that's a great question. And I think, Beth, you've said it a couple times. State by state's going to reintroduce things differently in different phases, and different phases will be allowed. But whether or not individuals follow those instructions will be a whole nother thing. And how do churches police that is a whole nother thing. So there's so many layers to that question that I don't know that any of us have the answers for yet. But I know I'm hungry to see my friends. And it's going to be hard to keep a safe distance once we finally get to see each other face to face again.
I went to our church building this last week, and there were a couple other staff members there, and it was my first time seeing them in 4 or 5 weeks, and I was giddy. I mean, it really struck me. I didn't think I was going to be quite that like silly about it, but I was just so excited to see them in person. I didn't even realize how excited I was. So, Bronwyn?
I was just going to say, Ryan, you bring up a good point about just the hungry. And I think about that and also in light of, the trauma that's going to come out of this for a lot of our guys. Like, we have an 18-year-old senior in the ministry, and, he's lost graduation, he's lost prom, he's lost his senior trip, he's lost his senior grad night. I mean, he's just reeling, as are all the seniors, but for him in particular, and I think, what does that look like? We don't get out of school till like middle of June out here. But he already knows like all these things are canceled and all this stuff. It's not even postponed, it's just straight canceled. And so I think, what are our friends, like the trauma and that they're going to bring, as we return to church, like, aside from all the like social distancing rules, like to approach your ministry knowing that everyone's kind of gone through this collective trauma and people have lost so much. Like, that's the part that I'm like, how do you even begin to move forward, like as a normal church, right? Or do you, right? So I think, Julie, those are great questions. And Ryan, I thought you had a really great perspective on that.
Can I just throw something out here? I wrote a blog post about this a few weeks ago that was shared on the Not Alone page. And I just really think, as you're looking ahead to this kind of thing, it's important to be equipping the parents and to help the parents be spiritually strong and have the perspective on this, because the teens are just not going to, whether they have disabilities or not. My family has personal experience with this sort of thing before all this coronavirus stuff. And yeah, it's really hard, but the parents have to be able to focus on helping their kids deal with this so that they develop skills to be resilient for future difficult things. And hey, we might have a lot of future difficult things as a result of the coronavirus. And so, the sooner that parents can kind of step up and be the spiritually mature one, the better it's going to be. The outcomes are going to be for the kids. The parents need to get their own support, but if you want your kids to be able to thrive through this ultimately, then now is a good time to be equipping your parents to help deal with the heartache, the grief, the depression, whatever the teens are dealing with, special needs or not.
So I put the link for the blog post that Catherine is referring to is posted on the Key Ministry website. You can find it on the coronavirus page. It's on there. Autumn has a great social story for wearing masks. And so she will share that with us. Is there a link that we could visit.
I'll have to think about how the best way to share that would be. Well, you have to give me a minute on that. But
Okay. Okay. If you find a link, we could post it when we post this video on our coronavirus page. So if it's linked up somewhere, we could do that. So with all these, especially this discussion at the end, clearly this says to me that we all need to keep this idea share going on for the time being. So we will continue to do this until we don't need to do this anymore. So we'll be back here next Monday. Again, the recording will be on the keyministry.org coronavirus page by this afternoon. We'll include, Autumn, if you want to send me that thing, we'll include that on there. And just take care, everybody. Have a great week. And thanks for participating today. And we will see you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.